This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you for joining us. I'm Ephraim Graham. Another horrifying attack against civilians in Syria, followed by a military response, a missile attack on a Syrian air base. But many wonder exactly who was behind the attack on the Syrian base. Adil Hurd is following this story for us.
Russia says it was 2 Israeli F-15 warplanes flying through Lebanese airspace that carried out the strikes on the airbase in central Syria today. The strike reportedly killed at least 14 people, including Iranians active in Syria. Syrian state media first blamed the United States for the attack, but the Pentagon said it wasn't us, and Israel's foreign ministry had no comment. Today's strike came after another chemical weapons attack Saturday against Syrian civilians, and after President Trump had tweeted, "Many dead, including women and children, in mindless chemical attack in Syria. President Putin, Russia, and Iran are responsible for backing Animal Assad. Big price." In a Syrian hospital, victims gasping for air, men, women, and children. The gas attack came just after dusk on Saturday near the capital of Damascus. More than 40 people have died. The regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, backed by the Russians, deny using chemical weapons and claim this video was fabricated. While the U.S. says it did not attack the Syrian airbase today, the White House is not ruling out a future military response.
I wouldn't take anything off the table. These are horrible photos. We're looking into the attack at this point.
And Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is urging the president to take strong action, calling on him to show a resolve that President Obama never did, in order to get the situation in Syria right.
Well, it's a defining moment in his presidency because he has challenged Assad in the past not to use chemical weapons. But President Trump can reset the table here. To me, I would destroy Assad's air force. I would create safe zones in Syria.
Trump will meet with his senior military leadership today, which is also the first day on the job for new National Security Advisor John Bolton, who has in the past advocated strong military action against Syria. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And here's a look at some of the other headlines we're following for you right now in the CBN newsroom. For the first time, North Korea has told the U.S. it is prepared to discuss de-nuclearization of the Korean peninsula. The confirmation comes from Pyongyang directly. The discussion will take place when Kim Jong-un meets with President Donald Trump. The Trump administration has not said when or where that meeting will be taking place. Hundreds gathered Sunday night to honor the life of 15 Canadian hockey players. The Humboldt Broncos were headed to a game Friday when they collided with a semi-trailer. That crash killed 15 players and team personnel. Another 14 people were hurt. People filed into the team's home arena to pray and to offer their condolences. Police have arrested 6 men connected to a planned terror attack in Berlin. They say there was a plot to attack spectators during a half marathon. Officers found 2 sharpened knives during a raid on one man's apartment. With these arrests, police were able to stop the attack. You can find more on these stories and others at cbnnews.com. The 87 million users who might have had their Facebook data shared with Cambridge Analytica will get a detailed message on their news feeds today. Facebook says most of the affected users are in the U.S., though there are more than 1 million in the Philippines, another 1 million in Indonesia, and another 1 million in the U.K. In addition, all 2.2 billion Facebook users will receive a notice titled Protecting Your Information, with a link to see what apps they use and what information they have shared with those apps. Users can shut off apps individually or turn off third-party access to their apps completely. The International Criminal Court is examining whether Israel and Gaza committed war crimes during a bout fighting in the Gaza Strip. Palestinian officials say 31 people have been killed by Israeli fire, including 25 during protest. Israelis say the protests are a smokescreen for attacks on Israeli troops and attempts to cross the border into Israel. Sunday, officials said they found explosives along the border after 3 Palestinians crossed it. However, eyewitnesses say the protests fired on were unarmed and far from the border. Hamas controls the Gaza Strip, and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas says he's not responsible for what goes on there. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia recently declared in an interview with The Atlantic that Israel has a right to the land. As Chris Mitchell reports now from Jerusalem, it's just the latest action taken by bin Salman that has many asking the question, who is this new leader and what does he mean for the world?
The statement by the Crown Prince was a first for a Saudi leader. He said, "I believe the Palestinians and the Israelis have the right to have their own land." His statement is one of many changes from Prince Mohammed. He's permitting Saudi women to drive. He opened Saudi airspace to a commercial flight to Israel. And earlier, he said the kingdom would be a place for all religions. Evangelical leader Johnny Moore believes bin Salman's changes signal a new day in the Middle East.
I couldn't believe my ears, actually, when I was watching the news report where the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia said directly, verbatim, he said, "This kingdom will become a kingdom for all religions." I had to watch it again. He was crystal clear. Now, when you think about this, I mean, this is Saudi Arabia, and yet there is this new openness.
Many explain this new openness as an indication that bin Salman wants to open up Saudi Arabia to the world. One more example, on April 1st, Saudi Arabia issued their first tourist visas. Middle East observers also see the growing relationship between Saudi Arabia and the Jewish state as a sign they both recognize Iran as a common danger. The Crown Prince even called Iran's Ayatollah Khamenei worse than Hitler.
So they will stick to anyone who shares their fear from the Iranians.
Islamic expert Mordecai Kadar believes Saudi Arabia is living out the saying of the Middle East, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend."
They feel much more vulnerable than Israel. First of all, they are closer to Iran than Israel. We have buffer zone like Iraq and Jordan. They don't have any buffer. And the most important thing is that the Iranians want to take over Mecca and Medina to resume the Shi'i caliphate.
But Kadar says Prince Mohammed arrested many of his own family and could reap what he has sown.
He actually worked totally against the tradition of the desert, of the Bedouin tradition. They will never forget and they will never forgive. They are waiting for the moment to take revenge, I'm more than sure.
In the meantime, Moore sees the winds of change in the Middle East.
It's a new day in the Middle East, and it actually seems like the Prince of Peace is at work.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
The leader of the Hungarian right-wing Nationalist Party has conceded defeat after votes came in over the weekend, putting him in a distant second in the parliamentary election. Preliminary results had Gabor Vanna's Jobbik Party winning only 19.7% of the vote this time around, compared to 20.2% it received 4 years ago. Early results gave Prime Minister Viktor Orban's right-wing populist Fidesz party a large lead with 49.5% of the vote. If the result stands, Fidesz would hold 134 of the 199 seats in the national parliament. Coming up here on CBN NewsWatch, repairing America's prison system. See how this ministry is working to give people a second chance. If your children are younger than 13 years old and watch videos on YouTube, they're in violation of the company's user agreement. But YouTube may be unlawfully targeting your children with advertisements. Child advocate groups are asking the Federal Trade Commission to investigate. The company's business model relies on tracking IP addresses, search history, and personal data about its users so it can tailor ads to them. However, children protected by the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, that is a 20-year-old law that bars internet companies from knowingly collecting data from children younger than 13 without their parents' permission. Advocate groups complain YouTube runs advertisements for theme parks, toys, and sneakers alongside popular children's videos, and that is in violation of that law. 2/3 of the people who leave the prison system will return. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill, along with the White House, are taking steps to make changes in the legal system. Amber Strong has the story of a national ministry making its own changes, one inmate at a time.
The Trump administration has designated April Second Chance Month. Sean Hopwood says he knows a little something about that.
My story starts with having to stand before a federal judge in 1998 as he sentenced me to 12 years and 3 months in federal prison.
His story has a lot in common with other testimonies heard at Prison Fellowship's prayer walk. And it also has something in common with the 600,000 men and women who will be released from prison this year. But one thing was different for Hopwood. He was released and never looked back.
I found that I had an aptitude for the law, and I started helping other prisoners while I was there.
Hopwood had a valuable skill, but even for him, the road from prison to success wasn't easy.
It was really hard. It was the height of the recession. No one was finding work, let alone the guy that just did 11 years in federal prison.
For most offenders, it's a vicious cycle: release and repeat. In fact, 2/3 of offenders end up back in prison.
People, when they leave prison, face a lot of obstacles, trying to find employment, trying to find, get access to education, the right to vote.
For 40 years, Prison Fellowship has used the love of Christ, along with mentorship and job training, to overturn those obstacles. That extra help can mean the difference between reformation and recidivism.
We do a lot of work inside prisons to prepare people for that reentry time, and then we link them with churches once they're released so that they can find a welcoming place when they go home.
That was certainly the case for Samuel Perez.
Prison Fellowship has been instrumental in really just providing opportunities.
After bouncing from group home to group home, Perez found his family in the streets, leading to a life of crime and eventually 11.5 years in prison.
While this was one of the lowest points of my life, it was also one of the best because this was around the time that I began to pursue my relationship with Jesus Christ, or really he began to pursue me.
The recent Liberty University graduate says even though God may have forgiven him, that didn't mean society had.
Regardless of the changes that you make, regardless of how far removed you are from the crimes that you've committed, you're always labeled as an ex-felon.
He's been there and now works with Prison Fellowship to help former inmates. Hopwood is doing the same, but through the legal system.
I do litigation on behalf of people.
Recently, the Georgetown law professor was featured on 60 Minutes. It catapulted him into the limelight, the White House, and at the center of policy change.
Can't say we're the land of liberty on one hand, and on the other recognize that we incarcerate our citizens at a greater rate than almost any other country on the planet.
He says success also takes the love of the community.
Most every successful reentry story I've ever seen involved community.
Hopwood says that community is often found in the church. After all, new beginnings are at the heart of the gospel message.
If you believe in grace and redemption, you have to believe in giving second chances to people who've committed crimes.
In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Amber Strong, CBN News, Washington.
And still ahead, we travel to San Francisco's most notorious neighborhood, the Tenderloin. See how women whose lives have been deeply damaged are now finding help and hope. Even the most beautiful cities in the country have a dark side. San Francisco is no different, especially in the slum known as the Tenderloin. The name was supposedly given because officers patrolling that area were paid enough to afford that expensive cut of meat. But women living in the Tenderloin suffer a difficult life. Lori Johnson shows us, though, one Christian ministry looking to change that.
Lisa's addiction, prostitution, and poverty took their toll. When she hit rock bottom, a group of women introduced her to Jesus.
I was depressed for 40 years, and now I don't know what depression is.
She started taking drugs at age 8, drinking at 12, and life spiraled.
10 years of homelessness, 10 years of dialysis. My kidneys had failed because of my lifestyle. I was losing hope and faith and ready to tell them to just stop the dialysis and let me go.
She wound up in San Francisco's most notorious neighborhood, the Tenderloin, where people deal drugs and sex right on these sidewalks, sleep on them too.
The women of the Tenderloin are very tough, but also very vulnerable. Many have faced decades of abuse, addiction, and mental illness, and don't know what it means to feel safe.
Psychotherapist Julia Ferderhert left her comfortable Wisconsin home to move into this neighborhood to help.
The longing of my heart is that every woman would know the love of Jesus that transforms, the shalom that drives away chaos, the compassion of God that says, I see you and I love you and you matter. You're not invisible. Oh, they feel invisible.
She makes it her mission to know these women as director of Because Justice Matters ministry.
We believe that relationship is one of the most powerful forces for healing and change in the world. Jesus is all about relationship.
The Bible tells us Jesus changed the life of a damaged woman he met at a well. Here at this well, a daytime refuge in the heart of the Tenderloin, women can also meet Jesus.
We had groups about strong women in the Bible and groups about how to communicate properly and how to treat others as we want to be treated.
The women of the well led Lisa to Christ.
And they prayed me through a kidney transplant, literally.
Manicure Monday means a time of pampering, which these women rarely experience. Christian volunteers like Kendra Ma give these walk-in clients a free treatment to help them feel pretty and build their self-confidence.
Sometimes when I did the nails on one of the ladies, it wasn't the best, but they left with a smile, I leave with a smile. I know their name, they know my name, and it's about the community and connection.
Women are encouraged to use the well's fully stocked kitchen, often making food to help last through the week after they leave. There are also opportunities to learn and flourish. Females of all ages can enjoy a dance studio, complete with brand new tutus and ballerina slippers. Lisa particularly enjoys the piano.
Well, I learned as a child, and then for many years didn't play and forgot everything. And then this is another blessing from Jesus. I came here and started to practice and remembered.
Volunteers at the well encourage women to express themselves through art.
I'm focused on being open. I think here in the Tenderloin, you don't know who can come through the doors. So open to the Holy Spirit, what He's doing, what He's saying. And once I realized and put my self-ego down, it's amazing what Jesus can do here.
We were wounded in relationship, and we will be healed in relationship.
After 4 years walking with the Lord, Lisa now volunteers at the well.
I have purpose, a strong sense of purpose, being a tool of God. A few of the women I know have gotten clean and sober because of my example. They were atheists before, and now they talk to me about, well, thank you, Jesus. And they're all excited and happy and telling me and testifying to me about how their lives are changing.
So while many consider the women in San Francisco's Tenderloin lost causes, one Christian ministry takes the opposite approach, offering hope many of these women never thought possible. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Beautiful, the key to a second chance. Stay with us. There's much more of CBN NewsWatch coming up right after this. Operation Blessing stepped in to help a woman in Kenya who lost her leg to a snake bite 10 years ago. Fatuma has 12 children and must continue to work to provide for her family. After her leg was amputated, she made her own artificial limb to get around. Operation Blessing folks met her during an emergency food distribution in her village in Kwale County. After hearing her story, Operation Blessing Kenya decided it wanted to help her to improve her quality of life, so they provided Fatuma with a prosthetic leg fitted just for her. Now she's able to do more to support her children, and she is even dancing and singing in the choir again at church. Right now it is time for your Monday Motivation. Perhaps you are beating yourself up for falling down or failing to do what you know is the right thing. Remember this: disobedience may derail your destiny, but it does not destroy it. You are still called and chosen by God to do what He's called you to do. So get up and get busy and do it. With that word, be sure to make this a marvelous Monday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Thank you so much for your company. And remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about always at cbnnews.com. And we'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that by emailing us, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember, the news continues 24/7 at cbnnews.com. You can find updates throughout the day. Hope you join us again right here next time. Make this a marvelous Monday. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Goodbye and God bless.